Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. Today, October the 4th, 2024, our topic is Open Forum. This is the thing we have on the first Friday of each month. And so we're here to help each other and to get information and help from those who have had experience in the job search and done some things that are ahead of others. And so you might have some questions to ask. And it's all open, and so ask us, and we are here to help you progress. So good morning to everyone. Note that this event is being recorded. It will be uploaded to the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Note that the chat window information will not appear in the recording. Just to make a note and to remember that Jeff Morris is the founder of the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. He had a fall last February. He is recovering. I actually talked to him on Tuesday. He's talking very, very well. So his main rehab today is physical. So he's working on physical rehabilitation. So that's great news about Jeff. But he launched this back in, I don't know, 15 years ago. And so we honor Jeff. And in the meantime, Matt, Keelan, and I are volunteering to step in until he returns or Matt gets a job. Since I'm not working. And so Matt's working on that anyway. We are co-leading, and we have split some of the duties that one person did, and Matt and I are having a tough time, two of us doing all the things that Jeff did in this particular session. So our agenda today, we have success stories, job leads, 30-second introduction to the committee reports. So let's start off with success stories. Anyone want to announce a landing?
I will announce for Stefan since he's not here. Stefan landed. He announced yesterday at South Lake. I forgot where he's going or what his title is, but I was hoping he'd be here today and bring some donuts because I'm hungry. But I'm very happy for him, and I will miss him and his accent and sense of humor.
Congratulations to Stefan. Is Graciela online?
She is not.
She's not. I saw on LinkedIn where she announced a landing in digital marketing. I can't remember the name of the company, but she announced that. I saw it on LinkedIn that she did land. And so if you remember Graciela, the way to remember Graciela is, did you hear what she said? Because she's so soft-spoken, and she was hard to hear. But, well, congratulations to Graciela. We're going to put a debit and credit file open for donuts. These are some debits for donuts that are owed to us. We need some credits. All right. Do we have any recruiters online today?
Yes, sir, Walt. This is Leighton.
Good morning, Leighton.
Good morning.
What do you have for us today?
So here this morning, I have a lot of Android developer positions out of Plano. So anybody in that IT space, I'd love to talk with you there. We also see like Java engineers, Golang engineers, that kind of thing out of Plano as well. In addition to that, I'm actually looking for a technical recruiter. It is surprisingly hard to recruit for recruiters when you're a recruiter. So if you have any HR connections, send them my way, and I'd be happy to talk with them. That's also based out of Plano. And in addition to that, we have some help desk positions out of Dallas as well.
And so have you put your contact information in the chat window, Leighton?
I will do that right now for you, sir.
All right.
So we got a recruiter looking for a recruiter.
Elise Kuby here. I'm also a recruiter, and I can agree with Leighton that it's hard to recruit for recruiters. So best of luck on that role. Elise with Thomas Edwards Group. I'll throw my information into the chat. We've recently gotten an inflow of treasury positions, so we're working on 2 director of treasury roles right now, and then we've got a couple new tax manager positions this week. So any accounting, finance, or HR people online or in the room, I'd love to connect with you and help you in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm sure you'll put your contact information in the chat window. I urge everyone near the end of the session today, even though Matt sends it out in a follow-up email later, to save your chat window. Because there's a lot of good information there that people put in, and those people in the room don't see all that information as well. So that's why we send it out, so that everyone can take a look at it. But there's really some good things in the chat that can help us move forward in our job search. So I suggest to do that. Okay.
Hey, Leighton, there's a gentleman who landed, it was either this week or last week, that is an Android developer. I'll grab his name and I'll shoot it over to you so you can network with him.
That'd be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you much.
That's who's talking. Just landed.
Who landed?
You know, he's in our, I think he might have been in Plano. But he just landed, he's a Android developer.
So let Leighton know.
Yeah, just to
who
connect.
This is the person that
Okay,
we need to
here,
connect Leighton with.
cool.
Well, you gotta tell him, he's online.
Use the microphone.
There you go.
We have another contact here.
Hi, lady. The name is Enoch.
Yeah, turn your mic on.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Layden. The contact is Enoch. His first name is Enoch. Last name Phettee Place. Place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
That is the gentleman I was going to refer you to.
Excellent. Teamwork. I love it.
All right, great. It's time for introductions now. So in the chat window, for those of you online, we'd like you to enter your name, the position you're looking for, your email and LinkedIn. It says optional. I would like you really to require it so that we can reach you easily. We can go to your LinkedIn page easily. Your phone number, what city are you in? Because we have people from all over the country. And then if you have 2 or 3 target companies, you can list. And I might add, is there a company where you might be able to connect people? Says if you need connections in a particular company, list that as well. So I'll give you some time to do that. Let me. Okay, and if you haven't finished doing that, go ahead and complete that. While we're in the room, we're going to have introductions for people in the room. So we would like each one of you to come up to the computer that's on the stand and use the microphone to introduce yourself. This is where we're going to practice brevity. What's your name? What are you looking for? The job title. 2 or 3 target companies if you have those, and connections where you might help people, and then repeat your name again, okay? So if you would start lining up so you can be seen at that computer, use that microphone and go through our introductions. Don't fight over being first.
Hello, my name is Jason Morgan.
Nope.
Hello, my name is Jason Morgan. I'm looking for a product owner position. I'm looking for target company right now is Travelers Insurance. I have contacts at Motorola Solutions. And again, my name is Jason Morgan.
Hello, my name is Mike Belzil. I'm looking for a VP or director role of product management. So I need contacts at DFW companies, most specifically Keurig, Dr. Pepper, Frito-Lay, maybe even JP Morgan Chase. I have contacts at Walmart, Epsilon, and Accenture. So my name is Mike Belzil.
Good to put a face to the name, Mike.
Morning, everybody. My name is Steven Sulkin. I'm a director of process improvement. I've got contacts at Baylor Scott and White Health, and I'm looking for contacts at TPC. My name is Steven Sulkin.
Thank you, Stephen.
Well, good morning. My name is Penn Hoyt. I'm a B2B marketing director, looking for contacts at, and of course the phone goes off, at a company called Telecom. They're a Louisiana-based company, but they are here in Texas. Got a position I'd like to talk to them about. I have contacts at Verizon and a whole bunch of other companies. So check me out on LinkedIn. Be happy to contact you. My name again is Penn Hoyt.
Thank you, Ben.
Hello, my name is Rick Harrington. I'm looking for a mathematician / analyst position. I need contacts at Cambium Assessment. Again, my name is Rick Harrington. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Good morning, my name is James Vineyard. I'm looking for positions with titles like Chief of Staff, VP of Products, Director of Strategy, things like that. I would appreciate any contacts you might have with local consumer finance companies, any of the banks, JP Morgan Chase, Citi, etc. I'll come back to, I have contacts at next time, and James Vineyard.
My name is Tyler Bauer. I'm looking for a business analyst role. I have contacts at Capgemini. My name is Tyler Bauer.
Thank you, Tyler. Tyler's got an interview tonight. This could be it.
7:30 on a Friday night. Is that dedication or what? Best of luck.
Dinner interview at that.
Yeah.
Brett, take your wallet. You might be the one paying.
Good morning, Matt Keelan, IT VP or Director, looking for contacts at American Airlines today. Please reach out if you have any contacts there. Again, Matt Keelan.
Okay, for those of you online, we'd like you to unmute yourself and give us an introduction for the rest of us, please. Let's start with, well, ETM, why don't we start with you?
Hey, happy Friday, everyone. My name is Etienne Joseph. I am looking for a campus recruiter role. I've got contacts at Workday, Intuit, Corning, and IBM, and I'm looking for contacts at Wells Fargo, USAA, and Abbott. My name is Etienne Joseph.
Etienne, thank you. Let's see who's next on my list. Steve. Mr. Rowan.
Steve, yes, okay. I'm a retired .NET developer, and I keep coming to these meetings because there's lots of interesting information available, but I'm retired at this point, so. My name is Steve Rowan.
Brian Jerome.
Good morning. My name is Brian Jerome. I'm looking for a position in supply chain in a manufacturing production environment. Like to find contacts at Emerson. My name is Brian Jerome.
Thank you, Brian. Vitaly.
Good morning. I'm Vitaly Platonov. I'm looking for position of a supply chain or logistics manager, mostly automotive or aerospace. I've got contacts at Hyundai Motor, America. I need contacts at Volvo Cars, Peterbilt, and Packard. Again, my name is Vitaly Platonov. Thank you.
Adenia.
Hello, good morning. My name is Adina Clark. I'm looking for a senior procurement management position in procurement services. I have contacts with the city of Dallas. recent transplant here in the Metroplex. And I'm looking for contacts either within the municipal government roles or American Airlines in procurement and also Boeing.
Thank you. Ahmed.
Hi everyone, my name is Ahmed. I'm looking for IT PM / Scrum Master. I need contacts mainly in governments or any of the big financial companies. I do have contacts with Robert Half or Randstad, any of those contracting agencies. Once again, my name is Ahmed. Thank you.
Glenn.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Glenn Meggs. I'm a retired PhD mathematical scientist, experienced with signal processing, currently facilitating the engineering focus group. Glenn Meggs.
Rosina.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rosina Gallman. I'm your Career Tip of the Week host, and I am currently looking for a senior talent acquisition consultant, or otherwise known as a senior recruiter position. I'm looking and open to any industry possibility because I've worked across several. I'm looking at, for this week, Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, Delta Dental, Unum Dental, and Walmart corporate office or the Texas home office as far as positions or companies for this week. Again, my name is Rosina Gallman, Senior Talent Acquisition Recruiter or Senior Recruiter.
Rosanna, you're familiar with Anthony Autry?
Yes, sir. Yes, we've already spoken.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Anthony's a blessing.
Did we miss anybody online? All right, back to you.
Thank you, sir. So Rosanna, you're on deck now for the career tip of the week.
All right, give me just a sec. All right, so oops, I'm about to leave my space here. Sorry, give me just a minute to pull it up. There we go. All right, so this week's tip of the week is, and I know we're talking about the same thing over and over, but there's always little twists and turns here and there depending upon the provider. And so this week's tip of the week is mastering the 2024 job hunt, 35 essential job search tips. So in the ever-evolving landscape of the job market, securing meaningful employment requires a strategic and multifaceted approach. With the dawn of 2024 ushering in new technological advancements and shifting economic dynamics, job seekers must equip themselves with the essential tools and tactics to navigate the complexities of the modern job search. Whether you're a recent grad, a seasoned professional, or someone seeking a career change, mastering the art of job hunting is essential for success. And in this guide, we'll delve into 35 essential job search tips tailored to the unique challenges and opportunities of 2024, detailing each point to help you maximize your chances of landing your dream job. So first, you want to define your career goals. Take time to introspect and define your career goals with clarity. Consider your skills, interests, values, and long-term aspirations to identify the industries, roles, and organizational cultures that align with your professional objectives. Number 2, conduct a skills audit. Assess your skill set objectively, identifying your strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement. Consider both technical skills and soft skills such as communication, problem solving, and adaptability that are valued in today's job market. Third, you want to update your resume. Tailor your resume to highlight your most relevant skills, experiences, and accomplishments. Use clear and concise language. Quantify your achievements where it's possible, and customize your resume for each job application to ensure it resonates with potential employers. Fourth, you want to optimize your LinkedIn profile. Create a professional LinkedIn profile that showcases your skills, experiences, and career accomplishments. Use keywords relevant to the industry and desired roles. Engage with industry peers and thought leaders, and leverage LinkedIn's networking features to expand your professional network. Fifth, you want to network actively. Networking remains one of the most effective ways to uncover job opportunities and advance your career. Attend industry events, join professional associations, and cultivate relationships with peers, mentors, and industry insiders to expand your network and access the hidden job market. Sixth, you want to utilize job search platforms. Explore a variety of job search platforms, including industry-specific websites, job boards, and company career pages to discover a wide range of job opportunities. And then set up job alerts and regularly check for new postings to stay informed about the latest openings in your field. Seventh, you want to research prospective employers. Conduct thorough research on companies of interest to gain insight in their culture, values, and reputation as employers. Familiarize yourself with the products, services, and recent developments, and tailor your applications to demonstrate your alignment with their organizational ethos. Eighth, you want to create a targeted cover letter. Craft a compelling cover letter that complements your resume and highlights your qualifications and enthusiasm for the role. Customize each cover letter to address the specific requirements of the job and demonstrate your understanding of the company's needs and goals. Ninth, you want to prepare for interviews. Practice common interview questions and scenarios, focusing on articulating your skills, experiences, and accomplishments effectively. Conduct mock interviews with friends, family, or career advisors to refine your responses and boost your confidence. 10, you want to master virtual interviews. With the rise of remote work, virtual interviews have become increasingly common. Familiarize yourself with video conferencing platforms, test your equipment and internet connections beforehand, and dress professionally to make a positive impression in virtual interviews. 11, you want to follow up after interviews. Send personal thank you notes to interviewers within 24 to 48 hours of your interview to express gratitude for the opportunity and reiterate your interest in the position. Use this opportunity to reiterate your qualifications and enthusiasm for the role. 12, seek feedback. Request feedback from recruiters, hiring managers, and mentors to identify areas for improvement in your resume, cover letter, and interviewing skills. Use constructive criticism to refine your approach and enhance your chances of success in the future job applications. 11, upskill and reskill. Stay abreast of oh my gosh, sorry about that. Upskill and reskill. Stay abreast of industry trends and developments by investing in continuous learning and professional development. Take online courses, attend workshops, and pursue certifications to acquire new skills and remain competitive in your field. 14, consider freelance or contract work. Explore freelance or contract opportunities as a way to gain valuable experience, expand your network, and explore new industries or roles. Freelancing can also provide flexibility and autonomy while you search for full-time employment. 15, attend industry events and conferences. Participate in industry events and conferences and networking meetups to connect with professionals in your field, learning about emerging trends, and expand your knowledge base. Engage in conversations, exchange contact information, and follow up with new connections to nurture those relationships. 16, you want to volunteer for relevant projects. Volunteer for projects that align with your career goals and interests to gain practical experience and to demonstrate your commitment to your field. Volunteering can also provide opportunities to network with professionals and showcase your skills to potential employers. 17, build a professional portfolio. Compile a portfolio of your work samples, projects, and achievements to showcase your skills and accomplishments to potential employers. Whether it's a digital portfolio, a personal website, or a physical portfolio, make sure it reflects your expertise and demonstrates your value as a candidate. 18, stay flexible and open-minded. Be open to exploring different industries, roles, and career paths that might align with your skills and interests. Consider temporary or contract positions as a way to gain experience, expand your network, and discover new opportunities. 19, utilize alumni networks. Leverage your alumni network to connect with fellow graduates, tap into career resources, and access job opportunities. Alumni networks can provide valuable support, advice, and mentorship as you navigate your job search journey. 20, you want to stay organized. Keep track of your job applications, networking contacts, and interview schedules using a spreadsheet, calendar, or specialized job search tool. You want to stay organized and proactive in managing your job search to ensure you stay on top of opportunities and deadlines. 21, you want to develop a personal brand. Cultivate a strong personal brand that reflects your professional identity, values, and expertise. Use social media platforms, professional networking sites, and online forums to share insights, engage with your industry, and establish yourself as a thought leader in your field. 22, be authentic and genuine. Be authentic and genuine in your interactions with recruiters, hiring managers, and networking contacts. Let your personality shine through in your communications and demonstrate enthusiasm and passion for your work to leave a positive impression. Number 23, research salary expectations. Research salary benchmarks and industry standards for your desired role and location to negotiate effectively during salary discussions. Consider factors such as your experience, skills, and education, and the cost of living when determining your salary expectations. 24, seek informational interviews. Reach out to professionals in your field for informational interviews to learn more about their career paths, industry insights, and job opportunities. Approach these conversations with curiosity and humility, and use them as opportunities to expand your network and gain valuable advice. 25, stay informed about industry trends. Stay abreast of industry news and market trends and emerging technologies that might impact your job search and career trajectory. Subscribe to industry publications, follow relevant blogs and social media accounts, and participate in online forums and discussions to stay informed. 26, improve your communication skills. Effective communication is essential in every stage of the job search process. Practice articulating your ideas clearly and confidently in interviews, networking events, and written communications. Hone your listening skills and ask thoughtful questions to engage with others and build rapport. 27, embrace remote work opportunities. With the increasing prevalence of remote work, consider exploring remote job opportunities that offer flexibility and work-life balance. Familiarize yourself with remote collaboration tools and technologies, and highlight your experience with remote work in your job applications. Number 28, stay positive and resilient. Job searching can be challenging and sometimes disheartening, but it's essential to stay positive and resilient throughout the process. Maintain a growth mindset, focus on your strengths and accomplishments, and persevere in the face of rejection or setbacks. 29. Celebrate your achievements. Celebrate your achievements and milestones along the way, no matter how small. Whether it's landing an interview, receiving positive feedback, or making a valuable connection, take the time to acknowledge your progress and commend yourself for the efforts. 30. Practice self-care. Take care of your physical, mental, and emotional well-being during the job search process. Make time for activities that nourish and regenerate you, such as exercise, meditation, hobbies, and spending time with loved ones. Prioritize self-care to maintain your energy, focus, and resilience. 31. Seek feedback and iterate. Actively seek feedback from recruiters, mentors, and peers to identify areas for improvement and refine your job search strategy. Use feedback as a tool for growth and learning, and be willing to iterate and adapt your approach based on constructive criticism. 32. Set realistic goals and expectations. Set realistic goals and expectations for your job search journey. Consider factors such as market demand, competition, and economic conditions. Break down your goals into manageable steps and celebrate your progress as you work toward achieving them. 33. Network authentically. Build genuine relationships with professionals in your field based on mutual respect and trust and shared interest as well. Focus on building meaningful connections rather than merely collecting contacts, and approach networking as an opportunity to learn, collaborate, and support one another. 34. Stay persistent and proactive. Stay persistent and proactive in your job search efforts, even when faced with challenges or setbacks. Be proactive in reaching out to potential employers, following up on applications, and seeking out new opportunities to expand your network and explore new avenues. 35. Stay informed about legal and regulatory changes. Stay informed about legal and regulatory changes that may impact your job search or employment prospects. Stay abreast of changes in labor laws, immigration policies, and industry regulations that may affect your rights and obligations as a job seeker or employee. Now, as we navigate the complexities of the 2024 job market, mastering the art of job searching requires a combination of strategy, resilience, and adaptability. And by implementing these 35 essential job search tips into your strategies and your approach, you can enhance your chances of securing meaningful employment opportunities that will align with your career goals and aspirations. With determination, perseverance, and strategic mindset, you can navigate the job market with confidence and land your dream job in 2024 and beyond. Now, this article was produced by Hunter Dunning. It is a company that's based out of the UK. There's a lot of great tips and information in that article. So please feel free to take a look at Mastering the 2024 Job Hunt, 35 Essential Job Search Tips. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you very much, Rosina. Some of you asking, how come there's not any more tips on the slide? And so it's the fact that I have just one slide today. The tip of the week will be included in a follow-up email from Matt, the whole document as well. Just make a comment. If you want a job description for job search, here's your 35 elements. I thought there were 126 myself, but with only 35, I think that reduces the amount. But these are some really good tips. So look for the complete set as we go with a follow-up email.
Hey,
Okay.
Walt, real quick,
Yeah.
the other 3 or 4 slides didn't advance?
Well, right now I'm seeing I can't get anything to advance.
Oh, okay. I was just checking because I was like, there's 4
Yeah,
slides
well,
here.
there's something, Matt was just showing me something. I'm not sure what's happening with that.
Okay.
So right now I can't get my slides to advance at all.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
And so what's happening here? Let me stop my share and come back and share again. There we go. All right. So we're going to talk about the interview success workshop. This is something that I offer to people to increase their skills and confidence for a successful job interview. So what is the workshop all about? Well, it is a workshop. It is a learning interview. It is not a mock interview. Companies buy who we are, what we do, and how we help them. So if we can combine our personality, our characteristics, our communication skills, the way we work, the experience, the background and knowledge we have in order to achieve results, then we have done a successful interview. That doesn't mean that they've hired us or not hired us. Maybe it's not a match, but that's all we can do is do a good job of selling that. So when you're in an interview, how many of us are thinking about selling? Because we all agree it's a selling situation. And so how do we do that? Well, that's what the workshop is about. So it's very informal. I'll do it on Tuesdays from 9 to 11 Central Time online. Look me up on my About section and LinkedIn. It gives you the details of the workshop. You have to send me an email to register. Send me that and I will send you availability dates. This month is beginning to fill up, so I would suggest go ahead and jump in line now. Be glad to have you participate. I call it learning without squirming. This one's going to be a far reach today. Is there anything I can do? I can help you with the interview. You can register today. You don't even have to pay. It's a gift from me to you. And it's going to be another year before that one comes around.
Wow.
So,
And you sang it.
well, some people call it singing, as the Lord says in the Bible, make a joyful noise. And so look me up and there's my LinkedIn. So use that QR code on the right. If you want to generate an email to send to me and fill in a couple of pieces of information. And I will contact you and get some dates scheduled up for you. Be glad to have you participate. So, Matt, could you tell us about the practice interview team?
Happy to. Testing, there we go. Dallas PIT Group, PIT stands for Practice Interview Team. We perform practice interviews for free every Wednesday in this room, except for the fourth Wednesday of every month. We do that online. So the ones that are in person, we do 3 per week. We recommend that you come and observe for a few weeks and learn. And then if you are a hiring manager and have fired people, we would ask you to volunteer and actually be a panelist to actually help us perform the interviews. And it is a great way to prepare. Once you've observed a few, then sign up for yourself at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. And we are booked out, I think, through the 3rd or 4th week of October at this point. So come early, come often. It's free and it works.
Be glad to have you participate in both events. Come learn how the fundamentals of the selling work and then practice. How many times do you think you need to practice before you gain the skills and confidence for a really conversational, fun, and enjoying an interview? It's going to take a few. All right. Jared Ashman came to the workshop at least three times to practice the fundamentals. He came to the PIT Crew about 7 times. And when he landed at Lockheed, he said the interview with Lockheed was so much easier than the other ones. And we said, well, duh, I wonder why that was, right? So come and practice. You can only learn. We're all on your side. We're here to help you improve. So today for lunch, we're going to go to Mama's Pizza. For those of you that want to join us, it's on Parker Road up near Custer. They have great cinnamon rolls there. It's a very positive element. We always wait for them to bring out the hot ones, and so they bring them out fairly frequently. But come join us at Mama's Pizza today. So today is an open forum today. So I hope you've had time to think of some questions and things that you'd like to ask in your job search. So I'm going to stop sharing and just bring up the crowd. Just unmute your mic, and who wants to start? How can we help you?
I'll prime the pump. My favorite question is, after a job is posted, how long should I try to network into the company and find someone to refer me before just applying online? The risk being, the longer you wait, you know, after they get a few hundred resumes or applications, they close the job. So you risk not getting it at all. So again, the question is, how long do you try to network in and get referred versus just applying online?
So I apply immediately because we don't know what the cutoff is. I mean, they might have a certain number before they cut off the application. So I just, as soon as you're aware of it, apply. And, you know, then the other question is, well, how long was it there before you saw it? You know, just apply immediately. First 24 hours. We had this discussion at one of the other open mics, and they were saying 24 or 48 hours. I mean, it could be cut off pretty quick, and you wouldn't even know it. I mean, they're just so.
Leighton, Elise, do you want to weigh in on that question?
I agree. I mean, I would apply as soon as you see the application, but I mean, my biggest tip would be, you know, is the job poster, so a member from HR, recruiter, or the actual hiring manager, is their name listed there? If so, connect with them on LinkedIn. And then after you've applied, you know, see if you've got any mutual connections within the company. So I would do that at the same time. There's no harm in immediately applying.
Okay.
Yeah, I would echo that. And it's also different, right? For like my roles are all contracts. It's a little bit different in that regard. I am your network, you know, so you want to come to me to get the in. But for direct and like talent acquisition, yeah, they have their name posted, reach out to them the second that you apply. And like Elise just said, see if they have anybody in common with your network.
Well, you all have, you're all on LinkedIn, you've all got access through that. You see a job posting that you're interested in that is not directly tied to a person's name. You don't have a particular recruiter that's doing it. One seems to me, and I know some people do this, useful tactic. Take that, if you know the company, but you don't have a link of a person to talk to. Get on LinkedIn, look for that job post, or look for that company, search for that company, search for a recruiter in that company, and call that recruiter. One that comes up, it's someone you've worked with before, somebody you know, so much the better. But look through there, get that initial contact, and if your initial contact is with a recruiter in the company, that's a good start. And then go to look through your own list of contacts of people that work at that company or have recently worked at that company, and see if they can get you additional contacts.
I have a question, and it kind of follows along with
Tell them who
this.
you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Steve Sulkin. And so my question is like really about how to target companies and find these that, you know, they're not top of mind. They're smaller companies, and they, you know, sometimes we'll discover them when they post a job, you know, like, well, this is a company I'd love to work for. I didn't even think about them or know about them in advance. If I knew about them in advance, I'd have more runway to actually try to network into it as a target company. So the question is now how to target companies and identify them before the posting comes. Because once the posting comes and you start reaching out, it could take months actually to even, you know, get connections. So you need a little bit of a runway. So the question is, how do you find target companies? Like, you know, if you're targeting, you know, Dallas area, you know, and, you know, certain healthcare providers or something, how do you find them? It's been a challenge for me. I've played around with you know, ChatGPT to try to discover them using name codes and stuff, but it's still not great. I was wondering if anybody has any techniques they've used that's worked.
Hey, Steve, you're using NAICS codes, have you tried DNB Hoovers?
D&B Hoovers. Okay, is that a paid subscription?
They do have a paid site, but I believe you can actually access it through the library the same way that you can access your premium LinkedIn Learning accounts as well too, through the Dallas Public Library system.
Yeah, something like that I was going to mention. What's the name of the one that's been talked about?
Reference Solutions.
Reference Solutions, yes. Easily get to that through library systems, Dallas Public Library. If you're in an area that doesn't have it, I believe the Houston Public Library offers free memberships so that you can get that, and you go in there, look at that Reference Solutions database. And if, the way to get to the other companies is you have an area that you're interested in. Look at some of the pull up some of the larger companies through there, and Reference Solutions will frequently list for individual companies. Will have a list of competitors or other industry areas that you might look at. You can come up and you find the names of smaller and competing companies there through the Reference Solutions through that database. And I think that's the kind of thing that Etienne was referring to as well, through a different database source. But Reference Solutions is certainly the one that gets talked about a lot.
On the 25th, by the way, we're going to have Mike Ray and Pete Hernandez give their presentation on navigating and how to use Reference Solutions to both find and to get information about target companies. Penn, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was going to say I've found the Dallas Business Journal an extremely good publication. It has a lot of lists on what are the top growing companies in the area. Highlights, it's very aggressive at going after new businesses. You can find out the names of the people who found them. Also, D Magazine, as much of it's a PR piece for a lot of developers, and that one also has their top 40 under 40 lists that they put together, and there is a good place to take a look at companies that are coming through and what's up and coming that you might not have thought about.
Yeah, and I think both of those are primarily subscriptions that you have to do, but they carry the magazines, I'm sure, in the public libraries. And the other old school one that I've noticed recently started showing a little bit more, the job classified ads in the Dallas Morning News. Last week or the week before, the Sunday classified page had 2 full pages of IT related positions. Many of them were multiples from some of the same large companies, but I've noticed that some smaller companies also post there in the classifieds. I remember seeing a number of things that were listed as LLCs. So you'll see it's a strange place to go look now, but it's not an empty search to find things there.
This is Mike. Also, one thing I would add to build on the other comments, and I believe it might be the Reference Solutions website or a similar one through the library. There's a network you can access that can identify and showcase like suppliers to these large companies, which tend to be these small to mid-sized companies that most people just have never heard of. So if you just look up some of the common big manufacturers, Toyota, Raytheon, et cetera, you can oftentimes find a laundry list of their suppliers that oftentimes can lead to really good target companies to talk to.
Yeah, that's great. I would definitely suggest that you make a friend out of your reference librarian at the library and look at the resources that are available. A similar database to Reference Solution is called A to Z. That's a ATOZ database, very similar parameters, very similar to that. So that you can do, there's basically, in my view of the world, there's 2 ways to get a job. If I want to just get it down to the very, very basics, apply, network. Those are your two options. Companies are always hiring. So is your approach to say, I'm going to wait until I see an open position that makes sense to me? They become my target company. And so I'm going to go see if I can network in, all right? The other one is to find the company where you want to work, the kind of thing. You do your research on that company, you vet that company, then you network into that company, because jobs are first solved inside the company before they're posted. And so that's the market we want to hit. That's our target. How do we get ahead of their posting it, which is their last resort? So the way to do it is to find the companies you like. And so when we come up to the particular, on the 25th, the reference solutions with Mike Ray and Pete Hernandez, strongly suggest you participate in that. But in the meantime, go to your reference librarian, ask them if they have the A to Z or the reference solutions database, and then the database that Mike just talked about. How do I find the suppliers to all those companies? What's available there? Tell them, give them, say, I'm looking to figure out how I can find companies and search companies. You know, even reference solutions has you can search for companies within a radius of your home address, which is kind of interesting. It's got a lot of interesting parameters to help you find something, because today it's not how far it is to work, it's how long it is to work. It's depending on the traffic. I always wanted to make sure that I lived east of my job location when I was working in person. Why? Because I was always driving with the sun instead of against the sun. That was a big factor for me. So when I came to Dallas, I said, I think I'm going to live here because I think most of the jobs are going to be on the other side. But that was a factor for me. All right. Any other comments?
One question I heard, Tip, I asked the group for, I'm sure we've all dealt with this, ghosting rather, or, you know, long, strung out recruiting processes. Any tips for kind of being a respectable pest? I know it's something I would struggle with in terms of follow-ups, how much is too much or not enough. I know it can vary, but any lessons learned that people have gathered? I know that's something I've struggled with.
I'll chime in here.
All right.
So for personally, I'd try not to do that to my candidates. That's a very, very rare occurrence, and that would ever happen with one of my candidates. But every recruiter is going to be different. I set the expectation with my candidates about how we're going to communicate. So if we're actively working on a position, it's going to be twice a week. If we're waiting on interview feedback, it's going to be more frequently. If we're setting up an interview, it's going to be even more frequent. And if it's more like a passive situation where, you know, I just don't have anything for them, I set that expectation of like, hey, we're just going to follow up every once or twice a month or until I find something for you. On the opposite side, my candidates, I always tell them if they just want an update, always reach out to me. You know, just send me a quick email, shoot me a text, give me a call, leave me a voicemail. I am never offended by it. Even if they do call me like every single day, I'm never going to be like, stop calling me. But I would say the best way to do it would be an email, especially if you're working with the recruiter. Ask them what their expectation is. Be like, hey, is it all right if I reach out with you or to you within a week just to check up with you? And they'll be like, yes, absolutely. And just kind of set that expectation with them and ask them what their expectation is as well. And it'll just make it a much better experience for both of you, I think.
Thank you.
Any other comments on that? Penn?
Yeah, I'll throw this back to the two recruiters that are on the line. Kind of going through that right now where it was interview. I had 5 interviews in 2 weeks. With the company, they said they were going to move on it quickly, and quickly was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, our quick is not the same definition as
Yeah, but
quick.
they had said, you know, be done in a week, and you'll hear from us within 3 days. 3 days came and went. I gave it to 5. Reached out to the recruiters. Said, no, they're still bumbling around with some things. I will get back to you as soon as I hear something. So, knowing that it's a fine line between stalking and persistence on that, that you'd say I'd be within my rights to keep persistently contacting them once a week just to say, hey, what's going on here, and just tell me yay or nay. Because you get the fear in the back of your mind that, God, if I keep bugging these guys, he's going to say, don't hire this guy, he's an idiot, type of thing. So
absolutely, no, follow up every week, I'd say. Just follow up, be like, hey, I'm still really interested in this position. Has there been any movement on it? And wait for them to respond back. Because that does happen, unfortunately. It is out of the recruiter's control a lot of the time.
The recruiter's a slave to the hiring company, so they, can't get in there and say, hey, give me a yay or nay type of thing, but yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
keep following up.
So a good cadence is once a week, is what I heard.
I would say so, especially there's another good thing to do as a candidate, and thing that I appreciate my candidates doing, and another thing that I ask my candidates to do is, if you are actively interviewing and you do have multiple interviews, multiple opportunities on the table, I want to know about that more frequently. So I check in and be like, hey, how was that interview last week? How did that one go? Because I want to know how quickly I need to push my client. And if I know that you're interviewing elsewhere and you might have an offer on the table, I might be able to push my client to make a decision a little bit quicker. So I say keep that communication at least to a week in those kind of situations. And if you're actively interviewing, definitely make sure that that recruiter knows that you are interested still in that opportunity, but you do have other opportunities on the table as well.
Thank you.
Well, I'll give you a tip of what I do in the workshop. One of the elements of the workshop is the close. Interviews have an opening, a middle, and an ending. So the opening is your opening statement. Your ending is called the close. And so if we're selling, we have a close. And one of the 6 elements of closing is next steps. And people will ask about next steps. Well, I have 5 questions for next steps. Okay, well, I hear back from someone as a result of this interview. Who will I hear back from? When will I hear back from them? And if I don't hear back from by, what date, is it okay if I contact you on the next date, next business date? I will call you at 2:00 in the afternoon. What's your phone number? Okay. And so it's called taking charge of your job search. Instead of leaving and saying, gee, I don't know when to contact them back, I say, well, why don't we find out what their agenda is, when they would like to be contacted back. And now I just found out, now I know exactly when to do that. Okay. And then follow up with that. So just ask. So at the same rate of them, telling them they'll get back in touch with us, I said, okay, when should I expect that? And it's called taking charge of your job search. Are you going to talk and hope they call you, or are you going to set it up? And now you're on their schedule, you're on their agenda, you're not stalking, you're not, you don't know what the time frame might be. And that gives you permissions. All right, there was a question in the chat window. How important is a cover letter in a job application? Well, we got a couple of people that might say, do you read cover letters? Do you look at them? Do you use them? What do you think? So again, we challenge our recruiters to help us answer that question.
If it specifies that you do need a cover letter, like if you're doing an online application or something from LinkedIn, it'll have a Dropbox for you to drag it into. But majority of the roles that I work as far as direct hire goes, and probably same with Leighton, since he's built for speed on the contract side, we do not require cover letters, and our clients would not be viewing them.
Well, what do you do when you get one? Does it hurt to send one? Can we go ahead and include one? And I mean, I'm thinking, is it so they throw it in the trash, but is it negative to include a cover letter when they don't pay attention to it?
It's not negative. I mean, it's just another document for someone to view. So my advice would be just make sure it's really well written, no grammatical errors. The only way it would be negative on your background is if, maybe it was thrown together, or, maybe it was addressed to a different company on accident, that it's just kind of another way that you'll just have to double check yourself to make sure there's no grammar errors or anything like that. But
Right.
it
Well,
can't.
yeah, same rules apply. So we're held to a higher standard than the interviewers and the companies. They can make mistakes in job descriptions, but we can't make mistakes in cover letters and in resumes. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, last Wednesday at the pit crew, we had a person who was interviewing with a company called Trek, and it's a bicycling, kayaking, outside extra group where a person would lead a group on an extraordinary time in the wilderness, in the woods, in the river, whatever it might be. And I did a lot of research in detail and looking at the webpage, seeing what they were looking for, et cetera. And he had included a cover letter with his resume for us to look at and research. And I will tell you, I would have hired that guy off his cover letter. I mean, it was excellent. It was right on target, well written, well expressed. You could see his personality in that cover letter. He covered the things that they wanted him to do and showed how much he loved to do that kind of thing. And I said it was extraordinary. So the trick is to get people to read them. And so without trying to be negative about recruiters, recruiting is one of the toughest jobs. I'd never be a recruiter. It's just so hard to do, and it's so much, and you got to multitask all the time, and everybody's, screaming at you for status and information and whatever on both sides. But at the same time, there's just not enough time to do all the things you would love to do as a recruiter. And so they kind of fall back, and maybe you can tell me, Lisa and Leighton, if I'm right, is that, what's the minimum amount of information that I can, review or get or, find out about in order to know whether this potential candidate should be moved forward. So is that the way you operate and work?
Repeat the question for me.
Yeah, I mean, when you're trying to choose candidates, and so whether you're looking at 1,000 online apps and use the ATS to pull out 10 or 15, my world is if we can't get your attention quickly because you're not going to look at all the information available, you're going to look at a certain amount and decide whether this candidate can go on to the next step. So without trying to be negative, it says, what's the minimum information that I can look at in order to say, yes, this candidate should move forward or not? Is that your approach?
Say the quickest way. Oh, sorry, Elise. I was just gonna say the quickest way for me to identify a candidate if I'm going to be moving forward with them is honestly their resume and how it flows. And by flow, I just mean, is it readable? Is it legible? Are the dates there? Start end dates? Is everything where it should be? I've had resumes come through that are legitimately written on a notepad, like Microsoft Notepad, and that makes it more difficult for me to quickly identify if it is going to be a candidate that should be moved forward or not. And if you are in a time crunch, like my positions typically go on hold after 24 hours. So I have that much time to get the candidates out to a client sometimes. And in those situations, I'm more likely to move on to a next individual that has a little bit cleaner resume that I can identify very quickly and get out. And other times when I have a much longer time frame, if it's a harder search, an executive search or something like that, I'm going to be spending a lot more time on the resumes and actually getting into the nitty-gritty of what they've done.
So our job is to make it very easy for you to evaluate and decide. Elise, you have any comments?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, the first pass is kind of how legible the resume is. But Leighton or myself might be trying to fill a role that's requiring a certain software. So, one quick tip would be, if you've used a lot of softwares, make sure it's on your resume, because Leighton might be looking for a role that requires NetSuite. If it's not on your resume, him or myself might pass on that because the softwares aren't on there. So I mean, it's how the resume looks. Is your buzzwords on there? Are your softwares on there? Stuff like that. I wouldn't say it's necessarily as quick on the direct hire side. So kind of the roles that I'm working, because those roles take a month or 2 months to fill, whereas Leighton's are pretty much a day or two. So on the direct hire side, I would say we've got a little bit more time to really dive deep into the resume. Jump on a Zoom call with you, learn more about your industry experience, and see kind of what boxes you would check for the role.
I'll have one question more for you. If you get a resume and there's no job title at the top of the resume, do you even read it?
A job title, like if it says Toyota and then it doesn't say what title they have, or
Yeah, there's no, like the job title, like a customer success manager. If it doesn't say something at the top, if it just starts out with a paragraph and you have to read it to figure out what job they're looking for, do you even read it?
I feel like I would continue reading the resume, but it would probably require a lot of deduction skills to figure out what they're actually doing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see some resumes that just have no job title at the top, and I say, why are we making you work to figure out what we're trying to look, what we're looking for? Okay, let's move on to another topic. We've got to lay off our recruiters now. We don't want to make it too hot for them here. They'll not come back. What other job search questions do you have? How can we help you?
I got one. How many years of experience should I go back on my resume and LinkedIn? And should the resume go back further?
Did everybody hear that?
I always recommend 10. That's
Yeah.
generally what I present to my clients too, unless it's a really senior position that they're requesting like 18 plus years on. I only go back 10, just keeps it a little bit shorter and a little bit more concise.
I think in the education industry, if you're trying to get a job as a professor or something, they want 14 pages
Yeah,
of
they want a
stuff
CV, not
on
a
your
resume.
resume. I mean, that depending on the job you're looking for, the number of pages can be different in the amount of detail that you provide.
And Leighton, is it different for LinkedIn profile versus the resume?
That's
Or is
actually a really good question. I don't think I have an opinion on that. I say your LinkedIn profile can be your living resume, where I would put everything that you've done. I have all my positions on there going all the way back down to when I was in high school. So I think that is a really appropriate place to put it, because if somebody is clicking on your LinkedIn profile, they can go back and see additional experience if they want to. But otherwise, for the most part, in my experience, hiring managers are more interested in what you've done recently versus that much further in the past.
Thank you.
I would say particularly in the technical field, since technology is changing so rapidly, if your experience is, 5 years ago, then you're not, you don't know how to answer a phone. It's different today. You had a comment?
Yeah, comment.
Name?
I'm Jason Morgan. So I've gotten the feedback, okay, only go back, 10, 15 years on your resume. And so I went and started updating my LinkedIn to do the same kind of thing. But then I realized if I'm taking off some of those older jobs, is LinkedIn going to lose my connections? The people that I used to work with in those jobs, when I click on them, you worked with him here, but now I don't have that job history, my experience anymore. Am I going to lose something?
Well, that's a LinkedIn question. Do we have any LinkedIn experts? LinkedIn is one of the mysteries of the universe.
I would consider going further back on LinkedIn to maintain some of those connections, because I saw.
Yeah, I think that would support what Leighton was saying, right? That in LinkedIn, you want to have more of your history. I had heard for the resume 15, not 10 years in the past. But yeah, LinkedIn, I guess, maybe just makes more sense because it connects you with all the other people that you had to work with.
Especially if you have like an endorsement from a previous coworker, you probably want to keep that. Yeah. And then they can also endorse you for particular skills. So I have a lot in my past for like process engineering, because I was a process engineer. So I kept all those. So you can say, oh, 34 people recommend you for whatever you do.
I've heard of the option of, putting your 10 years, whatever, on there. And then another section says other experience or something, and you kind of summarize experience that's very relevant to the job, that would apply. I mean, if I put COBOL, ALC, and Fortran as a software skill on my resume, I don't think I would make it very far. But there's another option there to summarize it and put it in that's relevant without having to say, I learned some things 50 years ago that I apply today. All right, there's some things that happen, that are important to that. So anyway, that's another option that I hear.
And this is Jason again. Also had a follow-up to an earlier question on, you see a job that you like, you apply to it, trying to find a recruiter or someone at that job to connect with, reach out to them. Is there someone on the call, like from the recruiting or HR side, do you find that those recruiters and HR talent acquisition people find that helpful? Is it, if it's useful? Is it annoying? Is it from that? I don't know what it's like from the other side.
So restate your question in one sentence.
Do
for me.
recruiters find it helpful if I reach out to them for to express my interest in a
Oh,
job that I've
okay,
applied to
okay.
at their company? Right, I go and find the recruiter at the company that I just applied to that I'm really interested in.
Looks like our recruiters are getting bomb blasted today. What do you, Rosina, are you online? Because you're in the recruiting area too. We could use some advice perhaps from you.
Well, this is Penn. I can tell you, you know, I get aggressive on mine, and every posting that I see, I try to find out if it doesn't have the poster on it. If it does have the poster on it, says it's HR, that same day I send them an email. Hi, I just applied for your job. Love to talk to you. You got, if they're in the area, you got time for coffee, you got time for a call, let me know. I'm running about 20% response rate on that, where they say, yeah, I'd like to talk to you. So it's an aggressive thing. Now that is me. That doesn't mean, you know, if I hit that in my email campaigns, my drip campaigns, I'd be, you know, #1 marketer, and I'd be at, you know, inbound and all the other ones right now, but 20% is very high. But I do it just to, you know, get out there. I think it gives you one more step above somebody else who's just blindly doing it. It's putting, you know, it's putting a face, it's putting right now a voice face with that resume. You're just trying to get to talk to somebody so you can impress them on that. That's essentially how I got the first job out of college. I got PO'd at all the lovely back in the old day when you sent an actual letter, and somebody responded back to you, and you had all these great, thank you very much. We don't see the need for your personal person here. Then I finally walked into an office and said, hey, is Mr. Barrick here? I sent him a letter 2 days ago telling him I was interested in this job and I'd love to meet him. Do you have an appointment? No, I don't, but I'd like to meet him. Oh, okay, we'll get him for you. Will never happen today. But back, you know, I won't give you the year, but it did happen. And that's how I got in. The guy's like, wow, I'm impressed you came on by. Yeah, I'll give you 15 minutes to talk to you. And that led to the next interview and then the job offer after that. But I just, you know, I figure if you're not making noise, no one knows you, and the squeaky wheel's the one to get the grease. And these kind of days with everything else that's going on, it's all about how do you make you know, out there without being, you know, and again, it's a fine line between being persistent and being a stalker. So you got to find out where that line is and get as close as you can on it. But to me, that seems to work for me on that.
This is Steve Sulkin again. I just wanted to add something on the LinkedIn conversation about whether to include all that old stuff. And it's really important for networking. So, you know, like when I'm trying to connect with somebody at a target company, and this actually happened, we used to work together, but for him to figure that out, I have to have that in my history. So it's like, it's a connection that you had with somebody. You got to have all that history there for really for the networking part. So don't forget the networking is also important.
We done with that topic? I have no questions.
And I couldn't hear the question that was asked.
My
Sorry,
name
it's
is
Rosine.
Vineyard. I have a question that relates somewhat to this question about the length of time to show on LinkedIn. My most recent position is 20 years with a mid-sized privately held company and their leadership team. And you know, obviously it relates back to how much history you show on a resume or LinkedIn. But I also would appreciate any thoughts anyone has on how to address that. I think it maybe seems a negative rather than a positive.
You see working 20 years as a negative?
Potentially. Yes.
Potentially. Well, let me give you the top of mind thoughts. We want to express relevancy to the job in everything we do. Okay, what's relevant? And so you may have 20 years of experience, but there might be 6 experiences in there that are very relevant to the job and more than others that might be. So I kind of like a master resume. And so there's maybe 4 or 5 or 6 bullets under a particular thing. And I say, okay, but for this job, I'm going to copy this over to my tailored resume. I'm going to select 3 of those bullets. I'm going to reorder them in prior to importance and it's relevant to the job. so that when the recruiter looks at my resume and looks at LinkedIn, they're consistent. It has it on there. So I don't think the 20 years is going to be a big deal. What's going to be a big deal is how relevant is your experience to the job, and use that as your criteria for that. Then what did you do prior to the 20 years? Is there something there? So that, this idea of 10 years, I think comes from, are you relevant to the world? Because that's more than 10 years ago, that doesn't work anymore. And so what's relevant now today is, I think, the motive and the concern about that. And so there's no need to go back. Well, you have those options. I don't think the time is going to really make a big difference. But that's what they say, 10 years. Well, you got 20. And you probably have some other experience, beyond that. Other thoughts? Any comments on that?
Appreciate any thoughts.
Our chief commenter is available.
I seem to be. I am available for weddings and parties. I go on the other side because one of the fears I used to have back when, when I jumped ship and went from the .com world, you saw a lot of people, you were going from job to job to job because, someone you were getting contacted by somebody running recruiters back then, getting money dangled in front of you. It's like, okay, well, they're offering me 10 grand more a year plus their car and these other things. Suddenly you have people, and one of them were within a 10-year span, you had 5 jobs. And at one point, back then it was like, oh, you're a job hopper, we don't want to hire you. And now it becomes, if we don't see you doing that often, then obviously you aren't trying to better yourself and that kind of stuff. So, I think it all depends on who you're talking to and how you spend it, where you go from there. I mean, when you're going, hey, I went from here to here to here, I look at it as, gee, you were at a company for 20 years. You started here, you ended here. I mean, you did some phenomenal stuff. To just be around for 20 years for them to keep you there in this day and age shows that you got something that a company wants and needs, and you're steady, and that's a great way to sell yourself. So you're not going to be somebody who's coming on and going to be flighty. But from that standpoint, but from the other standpoint is, hey, I'm out there and I'm banging on the doors and going and making the moves. You're going to want somebody who's a go-getter on that. So you can argue that both ways, but I wouldn't be afraid that you've been there for 20 years. I wear this badge moniker. Especially when you go in for the so for 20 years, I'd be 20 years with you, type of thing. I'm not going to be out the door and going that way. And that from a hiring standpoint is nice because I know from recruiters, when you have to interview people all the time, I mean, it's a pain in the butt to bring someone on in and it always drops you down, brings back and forth. So my 2 cents.
So this is Nilu. I want to follow up on your question, Jason. So you said that we reach out to the recruiter, the poster on LinkedIn once you apply. So what about the jobs where there isn't a recruiter listed, but I go ahead and go research the company and find a recruiter within that particular organization and email him or her instead? Is that weird or annoying or seen as proactive?
What's the downside?
Delete.
So you don't lose anything. We can only gain something from that. So there's some parameters, search parameters on LinkedIn. You can put name of company, recruiter, or talent, something like that to try to find out who those people are in HR, so that you can target them. Yeah.
And one thing I found, I don't know if you guys have found this, but oftentimes if it's an extended interview cycle, there'll be turnover in the people you're talking with. Like I've talked to several roles where I've gone through like 2 or 3 recruiters. It's because they've changed assignments, some of them left, whatever. So, following up with people outside of just that one contact has been helpful. It kept me going down some dead ends. So, to Walt's point, while it may seem I'm being annoying, whatever, it really is not that much downside to it.
Other comments?
I actually have an interview today at 1 o'clock. I'm doing that thing. Now it's not with the hiring manager, but it's with somebody who's within that team. And because it didn't have who posted the job, but just went through LinkedIn and it said he's, da da da. And I was like, okay, popped him and he had been active on LinkedIn. And so I reached out and said, hey, I'd love to talk to you about this position. You have, 20 minutes. So today it's an informational interview to at least talk to the person, try to make an impression, and then hit them with the question, gee, who else should I talk to within the company? Without saying, gee, who do I talk to that can, sign the offer letter type of thing. But again, it's, just being, I think you have to be nicely aggressive. What you want to do. Nicely aggressive, yeah, especially, you got the mortgage company banging on the door saying, hey, man, where's the check? So.
Ken, I like your comment very much because I think in networking, when we talk to people, asking who else should we talk to? And then you ask, who else should I talk? I mean, get two, don't just get one. I mean, and if you can get two from everyone as it branches out and power two, it really gets you an expanded network very, very quickly. All questions?
I've got a question for the group. This is more kind of in the same vein of dealing with like resumes, and I'm just kind of curious from the recruiters on the call, like, do you guys have a preference, or is it, well, I guess, what is your preference on skills-based resumes versus a formal / traditional type of resume when you guys are looking to find candidates for roles?
Describe what a skills-based resume would look like to me, so I can picture it.
Yeah, it would highlight more of your, like, the type of skills that you have and the type of experience you have and that you attain versus having a resume that kind of traditionally goes like, introduction, company, what you did at that company, what you did at that company versus saying, okay, here's the top half of the resume has my name, has my introduction, but then it just goes right into the skills that I possess and talks about what I've done and the different things that I've learned.
Okay, no, I see that. Yeah, so we'd see that. I see that typically more on the technical side, like developer side. That would be very skills based, where it's matrixed out, how many years they've used each skill, where they've used it, how they've used it, etc.
Exactly. Yeah.
I definitely love that when I'm looking for a technical person. I don't think I've ever really seen that very much on more the professional side. So I don't really have an opinion on it. I feel like the traditional way of just kind of telling your story under each position and tying in those skills and making an action bullet, took on this project, used XYZ, resulting in this, and it was super successful, and I got all these marks on it. Like that tells a story and still kind of ties in those skills. So I don't think you need to go as hard into it as like a true technical resume, if that makes sense.
Sure, absolutely.
Hopefully that helps. Because recruiting, as a recruiter, it's always super hard to critique our own resumes. I can critique anybody else's resume all day long, but you talk about my resume, I'm just like, I don't know. It's all messy.
Well, yeah, and I asked Leighton because, I mean, obviously over the past few years, I've specialized more on the campus side, but I mean, I'm a recruiter by trade. And I guess the frustration I'm experiencing is like there are tons of like senior level talent acquisition roles out there that I've applied to and get rejected. Say, hey, you don't have this type of experience because they look and they see the campus recruiting experience. But what they don't understand is that, it's still recruiting. Like you still have to develop a plan. You have to identify target candidates. You have to recruit those candidates, et cetera, et cetera. But they see that campus label and for whatever reason it turns them off. So I'm just trying to figure out how I can kind of move the needle on that front. And maybe it's a cover letter. I know we talked about that earlier, but just looking for some additional insights there.
I'd like to chime in on the cover letter thing because one of the things that I'm listening to is, and I'm glad that Elise was here. I know she's gone now, but thank you, Leighton, also for being here as well. Cover letters. Let me back up and say, me personally, I like a cover letter. You have the opportunity to explain or to summarize, yes, it's going to take you a little extra time to create one, but keep in mind, you don't know who you're talking to at any company. Different recruiters do things differently. In direct hire, like Elise, she does something different than Leighton, who is in contracting. And then I work as RPO, And then I also work as an in-house recruiter. We do things differently as well. So you don't know who's looking at your resume, who's looking at your cover letter. So provide as much information as you can. And if you can summarize that cover letter, that is excellent. On LinkedIn Tuesday, oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Hang on one second. Who is LinkedIn Tuesday speakers? I'm drawing a blank.
Gary, Kurt.
Luck Alderson.
Locke has a great presentation section on LinkedIn Tuesday, but he puts it on every single presentation he has. He always talks about the one page. It's the cover letter. I don't remember the term he uses, but basically you have one side of the, if you put it in Excel and you have two sections, one is the actual request from the different skills that the company is looking for. You have that on one side. And then on the other side, you have how you match up to that. So if the company is asking for 6 years of experience in recruiting and you put on your side 10 years, so it's basically you are answering the question or how you fit that actual job from the posting, if that makes sense. Go back and look at any of Locke Alderson's LinkedIn presentations on Career USA, because he has literally, he will show you exactly what I'm trying desperately to figure out how to say. He says it in a great way, but it's a one-page cover letter, and it's just showing the recruiter easily how you match up to the job and the job requirements that they're looking for. And so, like I said, I love a cover letter. You make your recruiter's life easier when you can come up with a concise way of how you fit the opportunity. And then someone else in that room had said, oh, reach out to a recruiter that's within that company if you don't have an actual name of the job poster. That is exceptional, because recruiters, thank you, Walt, for at least recognizing that the job is a very intense job as a recruiter, because you're constantly navigating the hiring manager's goals, your dotted line to all the different departments or distribution centers that you're supporting. Then you're also navigating every single candidate you've talked to and trying to provide a status update for them. I mean, it is a nonstop from the time you walk in the office or start your day to the end of the day, constant in motion type job. And so with that said, if you can reach out to a recruiter, whether that be by phone or the person said they send an in-mail after applying to a job, or you want to reach out with a connection request saying you just applied to a job, that helps, because then that's going to, if that recruiter can get to you that day, then you've just moved your resume up the stack. Again, you guys have to comprehend that every single job, you're in competition with 200 to 600 applicants or more. Like in recruiting, we're still 600 to over 1,000 applications per job. There is no way one person is going to be able to get through all of that is one job, because we typically work 40 to 50 recs. That's 40 to 50 recs times 200 to 600 applications that we have to review. It's tough just getting through the review process. Then you still have to schedule interviews and assessments, and then navigate once the hiring manager has made their selection. Then you still have to get your offer letters out and things. So it is a very intense job. Please give recruiters the respect that they deserve, because navigating this process is something. And not every new person that comes on as a recruiter can handle a recruiter desk. So just know that there's a lot of opportunities for you to help the recruiter identify that you are the right fit by reaching out directly to them whenever you can. if that makes sense.
I'll have one comment on resumes. I often suggest that we ask the recruiter what format should the resume be for this particular company, because they sometimes have a preferred style of how they like resumes. And so rather than just give them, here's mine, tailor it to that style. Now, recruiters probably, and you can talk to it if you want. I think that candidates ask recruiters for a lot of advice in job search, and they're just trying to, connect us, but we're trying to get help from them as well. And so they don't have a lot of time to do that. But I would talk to them and say, hey, is this style right? Is this the right format? What is the best for whoever the company is?
But Walt, when you're applying to a job, you're not talking to the recruiter yet. So
I understand that, but I'm just talking in the case where you have a recruiter that you're talking to.
right, like Leighton and Elise and
Yeah,
things like
this could be, prior to, or you've applied, but you're having a conversation with the recruiter. All right, whenever you have that, you're saying, because they're looking for a particular company, right?
Right.
So then I would ask, is the format of my resume favorable for the company? That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha. Well, traditionally, the chronological resume, if you're in a non-technical setting, is the best format because it shows, as Leighton was saying, they're looking for how that person's flow has happened with their career. And so starting from current and working backward, make sure every gap has some type of explanation on the resume. Because if you're not physically there to explain it yet, like you haven't gotten your phone screen, you at least on paper are showing where you are right now. Like if you are in transition or if you're taking care of an elder parent or whatnot, make sure all gaps are covered. But basically, that's the first thing we want to find out is, all right, do you really fit this role as in your current or recent experience?
It's interesting that the technical job descriptions often have nothing but technical listed on the JD. There's not kind of person you are. They don't ask for communication skills. They need results. They just want to know, can you fit these technical requirements? It's pretty interesting. Any other topics we want to talk about or follow up?
I just have one other comment related to the skills on the resume. My oldest daughter works in recruiting. And one of the first things she told me in my job search was to put a skills list at the top. It's just the volume of resumes that she looks at. It's simpler if she's looking for particular things on a job. If they're listed at the top, then they'll be explained in the job history in more detail, but help her for the scanning if they've got so many seconds per resume.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn does some searching in the top third, is one of their primary sources of making a decision, of your resume. So, all right, other topics. What's the toughest part of your job search? All right, Mike, you have a question?
Yeah, one question related to kind of specialty, one related to interviewing. A different area. I've recently encountered some case interviews and kind of different type of interview formats.
Right.
Any particular tips for kind of preparing for those? I mean, those are very different than your standard behavioral, aside from just practice. Yeah. Like a case interview would be like, instead of the standard question, they would give you a problem to solve, and you have to solve it on the fly. Like you have a car and you have tennis balls. How many tennis balls can you fit in this car?
Yeah, a lot of consulting roles particularly have a lot of case interviews, and some other roles, as well, but I call it an expanded star story. and the details and knowing that. So yeah, anybody have tips on case? Tyler?
Yeah, I used to be in consulting, so my manager would drill me down on these books, and it's just they just want you to answer. There's like it's like MBA books, and I'm not an MBA, but they want you to answer in a very specific way, and I actually can't recall the exact, but yeah.
Give him the microphone. Take it to him. He's got a hard time walking today.
There's a published Wharton case book to prepare for those kind of things, but that's specifically for consulting. But I just did one a couple of days ago. It was a case that's specific to my field. So there's different kinds of cases, so it kind of depends on which one you're talking about. But for the consulting ones, they want you to be thinking a certain way.
Yeah, Mike, I think it goes down to lots of practice. Find a buddy to just practice, like I was in consulting too. You just have to knock them out. There are certain frameworks you have to memorize and just be ready to pull them top of your mind like that. I was in the first round, hiring with the hiring manager. Just right off the bat, like a case study, I was not even prepared, but I had these frameworks in my mind. And I was like, okay, I quickly, I can think of a suitable answer for him. But there are also other cases where they give it to you ahead of time. I had another interview earlier this year. It was like, you have to put together an actual presentation. So those obviously take more preparation work.
It could be like when Dilbert used to be in the newspaper. The HR manager saying to the person, we got this problem to solve. And so he came back a couple of days later and said, have you solved it? He says, no. He says, well, what are you going to do? He says, we're going to put a hiring process in place, and we're going to interview candidates and give them the problem and let them solve it. There was actually the case where a person, high level, had an interview with the CEO, and the internal recruiter went with her to the interview with the CEO. And she was in there about an hour and a half. And when they walked out, the HR person said, you should send him an invoice. You just told him how to solve all his problems. And so there's a fine line between giving away your intellectual property and being able to, solve something. I know one person was asked, it was asking a lot of questions to the interviewer that the interviewer should know the answers to, but didn't. All right, which was a big red flag. And the interviewer says, can I have your list of questions? He said, right after you hire me. He said, no, I'm not giving this intellectual property away. So yeah, there's a fine line in there as to how you do that. Other questions? All right.
Kind of a basic fundamental question, I guess, when one comes in and you're looking for contacts here or whatever company. I've always thought of networking as, okay, if I'm applying to a job at a company, I go and look for someone that knows me or knows something about me that can kind of vouch for me to that company. But when we're networking here, how does that translate? Understand what I'm at?
How do you turn a request for a contact into a referral?
She's got a contact at a company that I'm interested in, but she doesn't know anything about me. Is it just about finding someone who can connect me and introduce me to someone in that company, that I can talk to them and try and find my way through a chain until I get to someone who knows about the job or the recruiter?
I would say yes to all the above, basically. The primary reason is to, when you get that contact, reach out to them and ask them for a few minutes of their time to do an informational interview. And I go a step further for my target companies, and I do it in advance. So I was interested in USAA. I found somebody by asking for contacts. I found out where they were located. I asked them to lunch at a restaurant nearby and said, can I pick your brain if I buy you lunch? for an hour. By the end of the hour, he got to know me pretty well. And so I asked him.
Now you do know someone
Now,
there and they
yes,
know you.
would you be comfortable when I see a job posted, referring me? And he said, absolutely, because we really hit it off. We really hit it off. So I was comfortable asking him that. And I said, that's great. And in return, does USAA offer a referral fee if you refer me in? He says, yeah, I'll get probably $4,500 at your level. Wow. So was it worth it? Absolutely. I've lined somebody up. When I see the job, I'll probably ask him to, refer me really quickly. I might do the, apply online thing, depending on the rule. I'll ask him, if I apply online, does that preclude you from getting the referral fee? And if it does, I'll say, okay, be quick about it. And I don't want the job to close. And so that's how I handle it. I don't ever ask somebody to refer me that doesn't know. But I will ask them about the company. Oh, you used to work there? Can you tell me a little bit about the culture? Why did you leave? Are you familiar with the person I'm going to be interviewing? That kind of.
Part of your research.
I have a presentation on information interviewing amongst the many that are out there. And it kind of starts like this. It says, hi, Tyler. My name is Walt Glass. It's nice to meet you. So what brings you here? What do you do? What are you? And I want to find out how I can help Tyler. So if I can say, oh yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I know something about it, or here's an article about it, or something like that. So if I help them first, before I ask for help, we're going to get, it's the guilt that keeps on giving. If I help you, there's this thing, I want to help you back. I want to do something for you. I'll start with that. And so after you, help with them, well, then you can be specific about the kind of help you're looking for or whatever it might be for doing that. But that allows you to build a connection and some sort of relationship with people before you, because we feel uncomfortable at just blatantly asking for help, right? And we don't like doing that. But how do you feel when people ask you for help?
I'd like to help you.
Yeah, we feel pretty good. And so we're doing them a disservice by not allowing them to help us. All right. And so, people do like to help in general, and so something like that. And the leaders of the various groups of the job seeking groups that are around are the biggest helpers. That's, they do that all the time. So, those are some people. Foster Williams is the great connector. I think Foster Williams knew my mother. I mean, I don't know. He knows so many people, but help them get something, find out about them. I looked you up on LinkedIn. I saw you went to this school. I saw you did this. I know you like kayaking. I know, those kind of things to build a relationship, but a little bit before you ask for help is going to be one of the keys to success. So we're talking about networking. What percent of your time and your 7-day, 24-hour day week do you spend networking? What percent? You can drop a number in the chat. You can just tell me here. And what do you think the percentage of your time we should spend doing that? And you got to sleep, so that's part of it. You got, you got to do other things, but well, just of your work day, what percent of your time should you spend? What do you think?
80%.
80%. Now I'm going to make an assumption here. We've done our resume, we've done our beginnings, we've done our LinkedIn, because we can't go too far without doing those things first. But assuming that those are pretty much in order, you have finally settled on resume version 72 is the final resume. And so now we're looking at next. So we got an 80%. What do we got in the chat window? Anybody got some difference?
Peter says 50 plus.
Okay.
Dina says 75%.
2/3 of the time.
So this means when I say networking, I don't mean actually talking to people. I mean preparation, research time, finding out who those people would be, preparing, setting your goals, doing your phone calls, it's everything associated with it. So anybody less than 50, we've got, was it 50 was the lowest?
50 was, well, 50 plus.
50 plus. Anybody think we could spend less? All right. Now, how much time are you spending networking? What percent of your time are you currently spending that? So that little introspection to say, here's what I should be doing. So when do you network? When should you call people on Mondays, that are working and contact them? You think the possibility of reaching people on a Monday morning is high or low? How about Friday afternoon? You think reaching people on a Friday afternoon is high or low, right? So there's certain times that says, hey, the best times are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday afternoon, not Friday. Right? So use your time wisely in your networking experiences. Has anybody got a nice success story with networking? I'd like to hear something where something was done, you got in, maybe you didn't result in a job offer, but it happened that I'd like to know a story about that. I mean, Matt just told us one about USAA, taking the person to lunch. Someone else have something.
It's the interview that I have today. This was a job that was posted last week. The company is actually in Chicago. I don't really know a lot about it, but the position sounded very interesting on LinkedIn. Immediately sent my resume on in, and then did the search on LinkedIn to see who works for that company, to see if I can find out who might be the recruiter or the job poster. I could not find someone that I was confident would be a job poster for that position on LinkedIn. But there was a person who was active on LinkedIn who worked for the company in the marketing department, which is what I do, and reached out to him and just said, hey, I noticed you commented on your company several times. I would love to know more about your company. Do you have time for me to reach on out and talk to you? And it's young, everyone's younger than I am. Person came on up and said, yeah, I'd be very happy to talk to you. I'm extremely busy, but I'm open on Thursday yesterday. So Wednesday came along, checked back with me, says, I'm sorry, one of my clients got a hold of me. I'm now open Friday at 1 o'clock. I said, this is fantastic. That allows me to come to this group. And then I get to meet, I'm gonna be talking to this person on Friday, today at 1 o'clock. So I've been going through and just seeing what he's been posting and what his background is and how he fits in with the company. So I've got a list of questions now to be able to ask him about what do you do and how did you get there and what do you enjoy about the company and where do you see it growing, and that will help me for my little portion about, gee, this is kind of what I do, how I can help, and bring it on through. And then when we get down to the end of the questions, to say, okay, who would you suggest that I else talk to learn more about your company? So that's what
okay. Thank you.
One technique for LinkedIn, a lot of people want to keep their profile refreshed and will repost articles or put thought leadership out there. One thing I did by accident, just on a lark, that proved to be really successful is I put a personal update on an activity I did with my son, went on this big camping trip in the backcountry and stuff like that. It's kind of a unique thing. And I can tell you, I still, months later, I get people reaching out to me, commenting, questioning, asking about it, and I made so many unique connections that wouldn't happen organically through a typical job search. So I was like, don't be afraid to put an off-the-wall post or update or content. It clearly sparked a lot of people's interest. It probably drove the most traffic on my site, just talking about this camping trip. So
yeah, definitely. I bragged on my daughter. She was a professional counselor, and it was just part of a big presentation. The organization for first responders who have PTSD, and it's the second year doing this, and they've asked her to be on the presentation. And they took pictures and she posted her own little thing up there, so I stole her thing. That's been one of the top posts I put on my spot.
And we just had another example story told without the microphone today. Well, so a short story here. So this person is working in a food kitchen And she's been working there a while, and she mentions to a coworker there, she says, gee, I tried to get a job at the Bush Foundation, but, you know, I didn't get it. And the person said, oh, you should have told me. We vacation with the Bushes every year. So there's a way of saying you don't know where it's coming from. You've heard that phrase or that connection. You just don't know how many people know other people. A very close friend of mine's grandson got in the car after being picked up from gym, said, I played basketball with Dak Prescott today. And she said, now we told you about lying. You shouldn't be telling this story. So the next time they went in the gym, you know, the receptionist said, did he tell you that he played basketball with Dak Prescott? You know, and so, you know, he met and he came again. Anyway, you got a picture of him. So you just don't know. The percentage chance of reaching someone through the third connection, the second degree really connection, is over 50%. Utilize that fact, you know, in getting that. Okay, we need to close it up for today. I want to thank everyone for their contributions.
Hey, Walt, I just want to really quick say, one of so Jama Ball, she is part of our group, right? She introduced me to a guy because I was looking for a contact at Goldman Sachs. She introduced me to one of her friends who works at Goldman Sachs. So I talked to him, did a quick informational interview. He gave me some tips to edit my resume and cover letter for Goldman Sachs. But then at the end of the conversation, I had asked him, based on his experience in IT, did he have any contacts for possibly Matt Keelan? So now I'm taking another person along with me. I highly recommend. And then he said, you know, he looked up Matt on LinkedIn, saw they have a bunch of different mutual connections. And so now I've connected those two. I was impressed with the fact that that one informational interview from Jama turned into something that helped me and me asking for additional contacts based on Matt. So all I'm saying is, everybody, when you're doing informational interviews, also think from the conversation, is there someone else you can help along with yourself as you're going through the informational interview? That's all I wanted to share.
It's the South Lake Focus Group, help one person every day. Okay, with something like that. All right. We talked about some resources that are available to you. Let's run through a couple right quickly. The careerdfw.org website. This is one of Jeff's, he birthed this particular website, gave it. It's got a lot of information for resources. Anybody that's new in the job search, one of the first things I tell them is go to careerdfw.org and look at that. I'm going to show you also where you can find presentations about it. And but one of the things they have is the calendar. You see this calendar feature up here. And when you click on that, you find groups. And he's got them color coded by a certain.
Hey, Walt, there's nothing showing on the screen.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. You know, I hit share. So let me see if I can't go back and make that work. I love technology.
Don't you wish it loved you back?
Yeah, that's the problem with it, right? All right, so let me back up a slide. Okay, are we in business again?
Almost. We see, yeah, they see the slide show.
Okay, good enough. So here's the picture that I wanted to show you. It's not up there.
Back in business.
There you go.
I have my technical support technician sitting right beside me for all help. And let me tell you, I overuse it quite a bit. He walked in saying the answer man is here today or something like that. All right. So I'll look at the calendar feature on careerdfw.org. Just kind of picture what it looks like. And when you get to that, you can see the different things. There's a ton of things going on. One of the things is right now, that website is not being updated. It's not been updated since Jeff incident back in February. But there's still a lot of things out there that are still current and still going. If you click on a different way of looking at it, the agenda, you can see things that are happening Like you see two things for this group, that's because it fits two different categories of events. And so you can see what's going on. Click on one of those and it gives you more information about the event. Then you can find out who leads the event, contact them, see what's happening. Because there's several great groups out here that offer things. Find out from others who have been searching for a while what groups they belong to and where you think you can get the biggest bang for the buck for that particular thing. There's a ton of them out there. You can also go to the youtube.com/careerusa channel and look at recorded videos. Now, Rosina mentioned about that. And so here's where you can find it. Excuse me. And Jeff has created these and has recorded these and put them out there on YouTube. And you can see that there are different categories, like there's a networking category. And guess what? There is a Tuesday category for LinkedIn. And so Patty Bashy is volunteering to run that right now. She's in a caretaking mode. She's not with us today. But she has Ruth Lipsky, Kurt Vondemutter, who is a recruiter, Locke Alderson, and who's the other one? Terry Sullivan. All right, and does a round robin, and those are recorded, except for Terry's. Terry's does a lot. His work is with LinkedIn, so his are not recorded. But you can check on Tuesdays, and I'll get to that in a second. Anyway, you can look at those, and there's probably 400 out there that you can take a look at to see what might be of interest to you. Find other people who are saying, hey, here's one I thought's good, and here's what I recommend for you. So you can look at interviewing, you can look at resumes, you can look at networking. All right. If you click on the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group category, not the playlist, but the category, you'll reach this playlist. And then you can scroll through this or even do a search for a keyword to find. For example, back on the 23rd of August, we had Rusty Wright talk about how to use ChatGPT for jobs. It's very popular. It's one of the most often viewed ones when we look at the number of views on the different ones. This one comes out higher than the rest. Right? A lot of people are very interested in it. So anyway, those are available to you as well. So next Tuesday, it's Ruth Lipsky's time to talk about LinkedIn. She uses as a tool for job seekers. So invite you to pay attention. You get different perspectives from these different presenters that I think make a difference, and you can learn something from each one of them. All right. So then the practice interview team, it's held in this church, Christ United Methodist Church, in person on Wednesdays, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, except for the fourth Wednesday of the week where it's done online. So you can come and observe, like Matt mentioned earlier, and you can come participate as a candidate, which I highly recommend. So send your email to there's a website for www.Dallas Pit Crew. So you can go there and it gives you all the information and explanation about Pit Crew and how to sign up and how to send in a request. That's very, very popular. We're doing about 3 people a week now, every Wednesday. So jump in. All you can do is learn. All right. What's coming up next? We have a very, very interesting speaker. I hardly recommend you come listen to Steve. It's uplifting, gives you some information that's going to help us in our perspective and things about job search that's looked at from a very, very different perspective than most people look at it. So we'll have Steve Zipkoff come. And I usually copy his jokes when I'm telling him because he's got some great stories to tell. All right. Now, on the 18th, we're going to have Clayton Stockdale give a presentation on making a career pivot. So if you're changing industries, changing job, a lot of us are changing industries. A lot of us have these, you know, if it's a financial job or an IT job, there's a lot that works in all different kinds of industries. But how do we adapt to that? Because interviewers and people that hire say, gee, I'm more comfortable with somebody that's in the industry than in a different industry. When it absolutely says, wait a minute, you know, a financial person, they don't give you a finance degree in manufacturing and a finance degree in some other, it's finance, right? It doesn't matter, but it does to them. So how do you handle those kinds of things and what we can do? to overcome that. And then on the 25th is the Mike Ray and Pete Hernandez on identifying, researching, using reference solutions. So be sure and make your calendar for meeting those. Great to have you this week. Today, we're gonna go to Mama's Pizza, and I've been texting Jeff. Jeff will be at lunch today. So those of you that can, come to Mama's Pizza, let's welcome him back. He's slowly getting back in business. And so we're excited to see Jeff come back. Love to have you participate with that. So have a great week, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Walt.
Thanks, Walt. And great news on Jeff. Everybody have a good weekend. Cheers.
Wish I could make it. It's a bit far of a drive for me, but say hi to Jeff for me.
I will.
You have a great day.
Me too, Walt, and